Alright, so I've just plugged the power in. This is obviously kind of a rehashed H96 Max. It's not a bad Android TV box, but the operating system that we're running here is not Android. This is Emulation. It's free to download. You can actually buy one of these boxes from Amazon. I've done a video on it, and create one of these yourself. But these consoles here are ready to go. There's 50,000 games on here, and a lot of this stuff is actually cherry-picked, so it does run pretty well on the hardware we're running it on, which is the S905X3. And as soon as it's booted up, you're going to be presented with a screen that looks like this. Now, Emulation is fully customizable. And by the way, I am using one of the included wireless controllers. It comes with a 2.4 GHz USB 2.0 dongle. Like I said, this is fully customizable, but they've already got a theme installed. If you want to get online and download more themes directly from within Emulation, you can do that. But I really do like the theme they're using here. I've always loved this on handhelds, and bringing it to a big screen just makes it even better. As you can see, I'm still scrolling through the systems here. We got tons of stuff to choose from. But when it comes to the hardware we're using, I'm more worried about, the higher end stuff. PlayStation, Dreamcast, PSP, some Atomic Wave, N64, Sega Saturn, Sega Cd, because when it comes to the S905X3, this is going to handle all the lower end stuff just fine. NES, SNES, Neo Geo, you want to do some FBA, CPS 1, 2, and 3 is going to work just fine. Even Nintendo DS runs great on the S905X3. So in this video, we're going to be testing out the harder to run stuff, and we're going to start off light here because PlayStation really isn't hard to run anymore, but still I want to see if it will handle it. Now, I've gone through this a little bit, and it kind of looks like it's been cherry-picked a bit. Games that are going to be easier to run will be in the higher-end systems, so a lot of the stuff that's already pre-installed should run pretty decently on this box. And there's a ton of games, so scrolling can be a pain. All you need to do is press select. You can choose the first letter of the game you want to go to, and here it is, Tekken 3. We'll just start this up. And by the way, the main menu we were just looking at is Emulation Station, and this uses RetroArch for most of the games we're going to be playing here. So this is set up just like RetroPie is on the Raspberry Pi 4, except we're running it on different hardware. And as you can see, bezels are already set up for each system because all these retro games were really meant to be played on a 4:3 aspect ratio screen. All this new stuff is 16:9, and instead of having black bars on the side, it just makes it look a little better. So here we are with some PlayStation 1 emulation. I do have the FPS listed in the top right hand corner. This is Tekken 3, and going into this, I had a good feeling it was going to do PlayStation 1 really well. I've actually tested this same chip with this same emulator, and it does an amazing job. Moving over to Dreamcast, here we have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'm using RetroArch with the Flycast core, and as you can see, we can't quite hit 60, but one thing that I really noticed with a lot of these higher-end games that are pre-installed on this box is they're the European version, or the PAL version, and they were really meant to be run at 50 Hz instead of 60. And I really do think that this is done on purpose just to give it a little bit of headroom there. But when it comes to Dreamcast, at least the games they have pre-installed do run pretty decently. Checking out Sega Cd with Sonic CD. We are running at 60, and this is really not a super hard console to emulate, but it's a higher end console, when you compare it to the NES or SNES. But either way you look at it, it's going to handle Sega CD just fine. So for the Sega Saturn games that are pre-installed on here, most of them are the 2D games, which are a lot easier to run than something like Sega Rally Championship. And if we were to install that game on here, it's just not going to run at full speed. They really went through and tailored the games list to games that will work on this box. And I'll give you a quick look at what I mean. This is the PSP section, and as you can see, there's a lot of great games that are missing, but those games wouldn't run well on this anyway. A lot of this is PSP minis, but we do have some regular 3D PSP games installed. Something like God of War just isn't going to run at full speed, so they didn't even install it on this system. And the final thing I wanted to test for this video was a little bit of N64 emulation. This is Beetle Adventure Racing, and going through the list, GoldenEye wasn't even listed because it's a harder one to run, especially on a chipset like this. But there are still a lot of great games that will run at full speed with this setup.